Welcome to the ruins of Caerlaverock Castle near Dumfries in the south of Scotland.
Well, welcome to a beautiful day in the south of Scotland in Dumfries in Galloway and to the spectacular ruins of Caerlaverock Castle. This is a very, very unusual castle for Scotland in that it's the only castle in Scotland which is triangular in shape. This one was built in the 13th century, and traditionally the castle is the home of the Maxwell clan. The Maxwells lived here from the 13th until the 17th century, but there's a lot of history in this part of Dumfries and Galloway. Whilst this particular castle dates to the 13th century, there is another castle very nearby which dates to the 12th century. Also within the local area there are several fortifications, the earliest being a Roman fort built in the 1st and 2nd century, and also later an Iron Age hill fort, which was in use all the way through to around 950 AD. I'm actually going to use this video as a little bit of a trial because I'm using new editing software, so I'd be interested to hear your feedback. And if it goes well and the quality is good, then my plan is to do a longer video and to take you into the interior of this spectacular moated castle. In fact, the only moated castle in the mainland of Scotland. And I'll also tell you a little bit more about the incredible history of this castle, which played an important role during the Scottish Wars of Independence, with a very famous siege that took place in 1300, where around about 60 defenders held off an English army of over 3,000 men, including King Edward I of England. Unfortunately, the 60 defenders couldn't hold out against an army of 3,000 for very long, and after a few days they surrendered. Now there are mixed views as to what happened to the defenders. One is that Edward I, Longshanks, the King of England, the Hammer of the Scots, so impressed by the valour of the defenders, spared them and showered them with gifts. The other suggestion is that he hung them and murdered them. So I'll let you decide which sounds more in keeping with Edward I. Eventually, the castle was restored to a man called Sir Eustace Maxwell, and he went on to support John Balliol as King of Scotland, later changing his allegiance to Robert the Bruce, and this resulted in a second siege. However, on this occasion, the English were unsuccessful in their attempts to capture the castle. But Sir Eustace knew that it was a matter of time before the English returned, and to prevent this mighty stronghold from falling under English rule, he decided to sacrifice it and destroy the castle for King Robert the Bruce. Because of its proximity to the English border, Caerlaverock was always under the threat of attack, and in 1567 the Maxwells backed Mary Queen of Scots, and that resulted in the castle being besieged in 1570 by the English Earl of Sussex. The castle was repaired and rebuilt, but the Catholic Maxwells in 1640 were laid siege to by a Protestant Covenanting army, who eventually captured and destroyed the castle, leaving the ruin that we see today.